Yo, welcome to Doobies and Movies. It is Mandalorian time, and yeah, we had that episode was called The Tragedy, episode 6 of season 2, which would make that chapter 14. And yeah, it was fucking sick. And with me, got the Star Wars expert Steve, got my regular Joel, and I got Lou making his debut. So it's nice whenever we get someone new on the show. But yeah, Lou, why don't you kick it off? What did you think of the episode?
I thought it was pretty good. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time because I mean, when the episode started, I was like, where is this empire? Where are they coming? And then, I was subverted by Boba.
Yeah.
Subverted by Boba for a while.
Boba came in and changed the vibe a little bit.
Yeah, and then there was that lady. I was like, oh, she was from season 1. It took me a while. I had to look her up afterwards to remember.
Yeah, I didn't remember she was in season 1 either. I just remember her from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I was just like, that face is familiar. But Joe reminded me she was in season 1.
And then just complete agony from there, watching him go away. See you later, baby Yoda.
Yeah, no, that was savage. Actually, I was saying cause Joel was here earlier when we watched it. I was saying oh, I bet he's so scared when he gets taken away because he's such a little cutie.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you have more to say?
It's good. I rate it. The season's good in general. I haven't been that disappointed. There doesn't seem to be too much filler.
No, it hasn't been any filler really.
Everyone's been pretty crucial to the story. All the characters. I'm sad that Ahsoka Tano isn't in it more though. I was also sad not to speak about Ahsoka Tano. But
yeah, you missed that one. No, it's alright. Well, what did you want to say about Ahsoka before I move it along? You can have a little.
She's sick. I've been watching Clones as well.
Yeah, me and Joel are at the end of season 3.
Well, you're not far away from me. I think I'm at the beginning of season 3. So I can't remember what happens at the beginning, but all the Mandalorian things just happen.
All three of you have some important Mandalorian shit to come. So you've got some big stuff coming through, towards the last 2 seasons. There's some really big stuff that goes on with that. So there'll be some really crucial points, and there'll be something I can bring up later that connects to it, which will kind of, I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to spoil it for you. But there are some crucial parts that some really that have already been hinted in Mando that I've already clocked, but I didn't actually realise that it was for that. So I'll come to that later. But yeah, it gets really good.
Well, what did you think of the episode anyway?
I thought it was banging. I think the last one I rated it a high 8.5 to 9. I'd say this one probably creeping up to 9.3, maybe 9.4. I thought it was really, really good. The combat was just, I thought
I agree, to be fair. I think this was better.
It wasn't even just like with Ahsoka, you had some sick lightsaber combat, don't get me wrong. But what seeing not only Boba Fett in his strides at that age, being fucking sick and still just coming out and, being without the armor at first, coming out and just sniping people and killing people with that woman. I can't remember her name. But Fennec. He was doing bits.
Yeah, Fennec.
Fennec. Okay, so he's doing bits with Fennec, right? And then after that, he comes flying through with his suit and that after, and he's just such a don still. He's absolutely smashing it. Like the fucking not the warden, what's his name? The guy who was wearing Boba's Fett on Tatooine.
Was his Cobb Vanth or something?
Yeah, that's it, Cobb. Yeah, he was flicking his guns about and doing gunslinger shit, and Boba was doing that exact same stuff. And then also what I loved about that was that Boba still has Slave One, which is the name of his ship.
Yeah, that was sick.
That was so sick.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
As soon as it comes in, I went to Amazon man, Slave One, fuck.
Yeah, it's still cool ship. It's still that kind of not only recognizable ship, but it's still that ship in terms of that it is still the Fett ship. It is not in any sense been lost by Boba. He's lost his armor, he's lost all that stuff. He's still got that ship. So I thought that was a lovely, lovely little detail. And what I also loved about it was they had that little point at the end where they were talking about you know when Boba like brought that hologram up of his wrist thing, and it was
Yeah, that was sick.
yeah. So when so he was talking about him being a foundling. What that means is like he was like one of the or Django and technically Boba because they're genetically the same. Is that Django was literally like one of the like founding members of a clan on Mandalore, which is what they're like. So he would have been like one of the founding members of Fett, which would have been his house, his clan on Mandalore.
Okay, that's sick.
So like like for ages, and one thing you'll see in Clone Wars is that a lot of Mandalorians don't class Jango Fett as being a Mandalorian because he became a bounty hunter. Like that's like something that Mandalorians famously never really did. They always kept to the creed. They always did this kind of like warrior thing. But because of that, a lot of people thought that he wasn't a Mandalorian, but he is. That's kind of just proved it. It's been like this big reveal of it. So that's a really, really sick part of it.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, I thought that bit was sick in general.
Yeah,
it was all sick, to be fair.
And one thing that I thought was really, really clever about it was now that you know that Jango Fett was Mandalorian and he was a foundling, he's one of these original founders, think about the implications of what that was for the clones. That means the clones were a fucking like ginormous galactic army of essentially fucking Mandalorians.
Oh, that's sick. I hadn't thought about that at all.
And Mandalorians are famously and historically like the enemies of the Jedi. So they were like the perfect thing to like do Order 66 for. So it's this huge link into Order 66, and it's this huge kind of sick little play on having the clones, which I think is actually probably quite genius for the Star Wars like saga. I've got to say that was pretty brilliant.
Yeah, that is sick. I didn't think of that. I didn't always think that Jango Fett and the clones were the same, but I didn't put all that together, so that's quite sick. No, yeah, Joe, what about you?
Yeah, again, just really enjoyed the episode, to be honest. A couple bits that maybe haven't really talked. I love the bit at the end where Mandalorian goes to like the ashes and like finds that little ball that Baby Yoda's been playing with. I thought that was a very touching moment, and it's just very well done. It's such a small little point. The fact that Grogu keeps playing with this little ball, and somehow they've built up such a small little moment into something that's genuinely very heartfelt. Every moment he's playing with it, very cute. The fact that like Mandalorian gives it back to him all these times, but so much of their relationship around like just this little bit of this shit that Grogu kind of finds interesting, you know? And when he finds it in the ashes at the end, I just thought it was a very sweet little touch. It's very cool. And I like the shit with like the dark saber as well. I want to find out what the dark saber is. That was very cool. Is that in Clone? I don't know if that's in Clone Wars, like the dark saber.
Yeah, 100%. That is a massive Mandalorian thing. You get to that, trust me, it's a huge, huge part of it. You will get to that. I think it's either 4 or 5. You get to see some really good stuff, and there'll be a big reveal on a really sick character in Star Wars that is all involved in Mandalore. So again, you will come to that. So don't worry, all that stuff will be filled. And if you watch Rebels as well, that will also get filled in a bit because it will be literally like the initial bit before all of this, like during kind of like the last bit of the Empire. So that will also be important. So definitely keep an eye out on that.
Like I say, just absolutely loved it. Yeah, the action was fantastic. All the bits of Boba Fett were great. I like how they have the same actor who played Jango Fett in the originals as Boba Fett now. Just makes a lot of sense. And he was pretty great, to be honest. Even just where he's like buoying people up with his staff, you know. The whole action scene with the stormtroopers was really, really cool. Yeah, I thought it was great. Again, it was a little bit sad that, I mean, I guess they'll fill that in, what happened to Grogu when he's in that like force field, I guess, for lack of a better word. When he's like meditating on top of the stone. Yeah, maybe would have been nice. I mean, I'm sure they couldn't have fitted it in, you know. It would have been kind of nice to see a Jedi, but I think they're leaving that, and I do think they're going to come back to that. I don't think they're just teasing that. I really do hope that they still bring in another Jedi. They have to, right?
I mean, one thing I think with the meditation thing with Grogu is that I think one thing's definitely take note of that is that after when he's on Gideon's ship and when Gideon's going to go see him, he seems way more capable of like forcing dickheads about. You know what I mean? it takes more out of him. Like he,
That's true. So maybe he's gained some ability by.
I think what's happened is that, you know, for years, obviously, like after the purge, he, as Grogu's like 50 years old, he has been, you know, in exile for years and years and years, just surviving. But as he's like the same species as Yoda, being 50 years old is like being a kid. So he's still a kid. So he hasn't been doing training for fucking years. So he's probably lost a lot of capability and just hasn't really been able to do a lot of stuff. So now that he's done that meditation, he's probably gained a lot more spiritual power. So maybe he's more just kind of in touch with the Force now. And maybe now, you know, Gideon might be able to do some mad shit. And maybe this all leads up to the creation of Snoke. Maybe this all creates some kind of link into that. I don't know. It literally could go any way now. And I like that. I like that they've left it so kind of open with this idea that Grogu's gaining power, but he's now obviously in Gideon's hands. So it'd be interesting to see where this goes. And definitely one important thing is, so, you know, well, actually, tell you it's not really important. I was just going to say it's a really nice feature. Is that you know, like how Boba looked before he got his armor back. So he was in that kind of, you know, hooded thing, and he was using that club. And
he looked sick.
Yeah, no, he looked fucking banging. But what that is a throw out to what he's been doing the entire time. He's been on Tatooine this entire time, and he's been in exile, just kind of like trying to find his armor and whatnot, I imagine. And those weapons he had are Tusken. They're sand weapons. So he's been using them ever since. So imagine like we're back at fucking episode 6, Return of the Jedi, and he's, you know, just fucking, you know, got down into the Sarlacc, and he's, I don't know, being digested by the Sarlacc or whatever happened with that, right? So say that's happening. That's obviously explains why he's scarred. That explains why he looks so kind of, you know, modelled and old and kind of fucked up. But then he's then lost his armor from that, which then has been found later on, years later. And then he's lost his weapons in that as well, because he had like a signature, like 3-burst kind of, not automatic, but laser weapon or blaster or whatever. And he's lost that. So he's been using Tusken weapons that he's like essentially just killed Tusken Force and taken them for ever since, which I think is really, really sick. It really shows like he's just like adapted to it, and now he's got his armor back. He's fucking destroying Imperial ships with one missile. He's fucking like destroying, you know, people here and there, like as if it's nothing. And even Mando, I don't get me wrong, Mando's sick, but Boba was fucking banging.
Yeah, all of that is sick. No, I thought everything about Boba was done really sick. Like Lee said, the diversion, you think it's maybe a Jedi, maybe it's Gideon, but it ends up being Slave One and Boba and Fennec. And then not long after, you get just that mad fight for ages. It was sick seeing him fight with his new look and his new weapons, and then seeing him fight back in the old suit again when he gets it back. Proper superhero film-like moment almost when he gets the suit back, and he's then piling up even sicker than he was before. And I thought it was really nice when, I don't know, maybe he gets touched by Mando's connection with Grogu or what, but he ends up kind of quite touchingly honoring the deal to protect Grogu. And I thought that was well done, the way he says, like, no, we promise to ensure the safety of the child. Because his personality is something that, despite how famous he is as a character in like film history, his personality is never given away. And so that's something that they have complete creative license over, like his honor, his emotion, his morals. That's something they can play with, and it's still interesting. So the fact that he honors that agreement, I thought was quite a good insight into what kind of person he might be, and also a good lead into the show about him, because he's someone that now I actually want to watch. I don't know, for 8 episode seasons going on. I wasn't sure before, I gotta say. As cool as he is and stuff, I wasn't sure that as a character he'd be interesting enough to follow as a main character. But now he really completely convinced me. The actor, the fighting style, the whole look, the fact that they can show the whole backstory of how he got out and how he's been living up until Mandalorian, and then go on from Mandalorian. That's a really cool idea to me. Gideon. Sorry.
In clones as a little kid.
Yeah. Well, they could also go flashbacks to him being a little baby as well.
No. In like Clone Wars in the series, like
Oh, okay. Yeah. Like, because in Attack of the Clones, you see him for like a second.
Oh,
We
yeah,
saw
yeah.
that really sad scene in Attack of the Clones where he has his dad's head, right? His dad's head rolls over to him. He looks at it and touches it to him, you know?
Yeah.
Which is a good bit of Attack of the Clones, you know? You can show on that movie all you want, but that was a nice, touching scene, Attack of the Clones with Boba and Jango Fett. It was, come on.
There are like in Clone Wars in the series, you get to see him as a kid more. Like it's not
Right.
just that he's more as a kid. So there is this more of a lead up in terms of like how he becomes the Boba Fett you see in the Empire Day. So there is more stuff to see. There is more information on that definitely. So
No,
again,
that is sick. And yeah, no, it was very sad, obviously, when Grogu gets taken away, and obviously, like Joel said, Mando afterwards. Yeah, the emotions really starting to hit more and more with each episode, to be honest. I was actually saying to Joel earlier that I think it's about time that we get a backstory episode on Mandalorian. Just to find out more. I think now we're starting to connect more and more to him and his love for Grogu. I would like to see more about him and understand his childhood and understand who he is a little bit more as a person, because at a certain point, it's not happening yet, but I just feel at a certain point, if we don't learn more about him behind the mask, then...
Well, we had a couple little bits at the end of last season, right? Like
but I could do with like a whole episode.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I think expanding on that would be really nice.
I think that's highly plausible because one of the things I was going to talk about that links to Clone Wars quite a lot is, again, I'm going to try not to ruin too much, but I can't remember if you're into season 3, if you come into contact with Death Watch. Yeah. So Death Watch, okay, so you will come across it. I'm not spoiling anything by mentioning Death Watch.
It's the guy with the Darksaber.
Yeah, okay. So basically, like on Mandalore for years, what it referenced in this episode is the Mandalorian Civil War. So years and years and years before Clone Wars, years before the even Phantom Menace, Mandalore essentially changed from being the warrior race it was meant to be and has always been to being one of pacifism. So they essentially just turned into pussy holes and just didn't want to do anything and just became really diplomatic. So they got rid of all their kind of tradition and warrior lifestyle and they just literally became pacifists essentially. And then after that, years and years later, they eventually, through the Clone Wars, you eventually see like Death Watch was like the one clan or the one kind of like squad of people within the Mandalorian society that went back to the Mandalorian like warrior ways. And he had the Darksaber, the guy who leads it. You'll come into that, and that all goes like that. Blah blah blah. And so what they reference when they said Mando was like a child of the Watch, that is in reference to that. I think it's not entirely clear, but it means that Death Watch has kind of to some degree kind of survived, and it's not like what it used to be. Like it used to be like a real kind of like evil organization where they would, plot terrorist bombings and whatnot on Mandalore to make a difference and to show that they were involved with just essentially wanting to kill people whenever the fuck they wanted to. Now it kind of looks like it's more kind of involved with the old Mandalorian traditions and more kind of just getting Mandalore back to what it was after the purge and whatnot, where the majority of Mandalorians have been killed. So it's kind of like a nice little throw out. And do you remember the weaponsmith from series 1 that yeah. Okay, so this is a really, really big shout out, and I'm not going to spoil it because it's really, really important. It's really sick. That helmet, the shape of the helmet, keep that in mind because that shout outs to a very, very important character in the Star Wars universe that is in the film.
Like Magneto helmet, right?
Yeah, it's like a Magneto.
Yeah.
I'm specifically talking about the top part, not everything else. And when you get to that point in Clone Wars, you will understand what I'm talking about, okay? When you get to that point, and it is all to do with Mandalore, it will be involved on Mandalore, and you'll know what character it is just eventually when he gets involved in it, okay? So, and that's not like till like Series 4, Series 5. When you get to that point, you will understand. And I think it is in reference to that because it's I can't understand as to what else it would be in reference to. And it just does make a lot of sense in terms of Death Watch and in terms of Mandalore. So keep an eye on that. I think that'll be really, really a crucial point.
Cool.
Yeah, sick. I also wanted to give a shout out to Robert Rodriguez, who directed that episode, and I thought it was so sick they got him in. He did like Sin City. He actually did the Spy Kids films. He did like Desperado, and like, he's done loads of cool old action films. And he did that combo thing with Tarantino where they did loads of short films together and stuff. But yeah, he's just always been quite a cool kind of interesting director. And yeah, just to see that they're getting cool people in, and yeah, you saw that in the action scenes. They were just so relentless and sick. And yeah, to me, that was my favorite episode. Yeah, I kind of preferred that to the Ahsoka episode because just like the layering and progression of the action, and then obviously all the Boba Fett stuff was so sick, and the plot's now like properly moving, and it looks like we're just gonna have a big showdown between Mando and Moff Gideon at the end. Maybe a showdown that could include Boba Fett and Ahsoka. I mean, imagine that for a season finale.
Yeah, that'd be banging.
I mean, that would be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I think also, like, when we're talking about making tributes, I think we do need to address the biggest tribute in the room, and that is, of course, Josh's grandfather. That is, of course, Darth Vader himself.
Yeah. I was actually gonna say that it was they didn't do a tribute themselves.
Yeah, no, I was half hoping, at least at the end of the episode, it would say something about it.
Yeah, I
Like,
was.
it might have been maybe that it was just filmed before it and it just wasn't edited, or maybe they can do a tribute to something else. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think it's. I mean, like, I don't know if you saw in Bristol, you've obviously
Yeah, it's signed a petition.
Yeah.
the work and everything. I think it's lovely. Like, it's a lovely little tribute.
Yeah, I really hope they actually do this.
Yeah, no, please do sign the petition if you're listening and you haven't heard about it. You know?
Yeah, sign a petition for Dave Prowse.
Get Darth Vader on that plinth. We don't want fucking slavers. We want dark evil Sith Lord. That's what we want.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, we want to give respect to the Star Wars legend that he was, and obviously, having a statue seems right. He's a Bristol legend, and I hope they do it. And it is a shame that for whatever beef with Lucasfilm or whatever, that they couldn't even give him a tribute at the end. It's just in bad taste. It's just in really bad taste. But so is life and money and politics and all that stuff. So that's nothing new. But it's just a shame. But on the plus side of things, it was a great episode. Thanks everyone for being a part of it. Just do a little quick rating. Unless anyone has any final thoughts, then I'm happy for them to go ahead. But well, let's start at the end of my screen with Joe.
Yeah, I'd say a solid 9 again. You know, I think it was pretty similar to the last episode. I love the last episode. There were so many good bits. I thought both just absolutely on point. I mean, you know, like Steve said, you love a bit of lightsaber duels, and that's the one thing that this episode didn't have. You know, not to slate this episode at all. It was amazing. Absolutely loved it. But yeah, for me, yeah, solid 9. Same as last episode. I think they're both great.
Steve?
Yeah, I mean, I said my rating earlier, and I think I'm going to stand by probably about 9.2, 9.3. I think it's a great solid episode.
I love the specificity, like right to the.
Right, so it's better than 9, but I don't want to give it 9.5. So I'm going to go
9.25.
Let's go full 9.25.
Lou?
Yeah, 9 for me.
9. Yeah, I think we're gonna have a full house with that.
I did prefer the last episode though.
Really?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
The whole Grogu reveal was.
Yeah, that was a lovely touch. The name was a very lovely touch. But I find, like, I don't get me wrong. I think the combat our last episode was still sick. I just think combat in this one it felt like as if there were just so many more players on the board, and it was all just I don't know, more going on in terms of combat. Like it just felt like it was more involved. But
yeah, the big rock was a highlight.
Yeah.
But yeah, 9 for me.
9. Well, 9. That's sublime. No, it was 9 for me as well. I preferred that one, but I see why he would prefer the last one. But it just shows that now they are at a certain standard, and it's fairly consistent. So what? There's 2 more episodes left of the season, which means there's 2 more Doobies and movies on Mandalorian to come. I think they're gonna hopefully be 2 mad episodes.
I think they have to be.
Yeah, I think they have to be. I mean, 7. Who knows for 7? But surely by 8, it's got to fully go down. There's got to be something quite big happening.
Are they gonna do another season though? They could like.
Yeah. Nah, there's definitely another season coming.
Yeah, I reckon what will be going on is like the next 2 episodes will just be them getting Grogu back, and then there'll definitely be some kind of mad fights in the next 2 episodes. That's just hands down. I reckon now that we know that Mando's Beskar armor can take lightsabers, I reckon there'll be like a duel between him and Gideon, or maybe even Ahsoka comes into play again. I don't know. I'd love for her to be in again. That'd be sick.
They finally got people in the show now cemented to come into play and have a really sick battle that it's got to happen. Otherwise, I'll be a little bit disappointed. But, I reckon obviously when the final season comes of Mandalorian, we know it'll be a big event. It'll be like the final season. We'll all be strapped in and shit will explode.
Yeah, and I think we've got to remember from the last episode, Admiral Thrawn was mentioned, which means that there is a bigger part of the Empire that is hidden so far that is going to come into play at some point. So there will be, I'm hoping at some point there will just be like, maybe Gideon loses or something and Thrawn comes into play, and then that will be the biggest kind of threat they'll come across. I don't know, but that's what I'm hoping for at least.
No, that's a good point, actually. I do think Thrawn will probably be introduced in the next 2 episodes. Obviously, I haven't seen Rebels yet, but I've kind of seen a little bit of some articles online about, a little bit about that shit. But, yeah, enough from me, enough from life. But keep smoking those doobies. Keep watching those movies. Kath also gave me a slogan, but I've forgotten it now. But I want to bring it in. Well, if you think of any slogans, let me know. Subscribe to the page. Love and vibe every day. Peace out.